can't believe this is happening. I can't believe this is happening. So it looks like Manchester United is closing in on a deal to sign Carlos Baleba. It's about 60 million pounds plus 5 million on add-ons. They're still deciding on the details, but I think they'll get that done. So Carlos Baleba is a player that Man United wanted last summer. They tried to get him, but at that time Brighton was moving a little crazy. I mean, you can't blame them because Baleba had a great season, so they wanted to get the same fee that Moises Caicedo was sold for. That was about 115 million pounds, or at least thereabouts. And there was no way Man United was going to do that last summer, and so they decided not to pursue it any further. And I'm glad that they did. I mean, I don't think any player is worth that. Elliot Anderson is not worth 100 million pounds. Morgan Rogers is not worth that. Tonali is not worth that. And who's that? Yan Diomande, he's not worth that. So you're obviously able to get these players at a much decent price if you're willing to negotiate. And I'm glad United did that, because a lot of people complain that, just put the money down. No, don't put the money down, because obviously you know that we are not good sellers. So just trying to just shell out so much for a single player and then not being able to sell him later on. I mean, we just got done with the Jadon Sancho debacle, and then we have other players who are just running out their contracts. So I'm just glad that United took its time. Now, with regards to the player, I mean, I think he has lots of pros and cons. The pros are he's at least for me, not the ideal, but he's a good fit at the sixth position, which is the defensive midfielder. So he's going to sit in front of the back line. And we need him, especially after you saw the last match against AC Milan, because you saw, this is what Carrick has said, he wants us to play a possession-based football, and he wants to move the back line up. But what happens then? You're susceptible to counterattacks, and we saw that happen, especially the last goal where Ruben Loftus-Cheek was able to run from the halfway line and slot it in, and you could see who was that? Harry Maguire and Lisandro Martinez, both slow as molasses. They just can't get back in time to stop the counter-attack. Even Luke Shaw, he doesn't have the pace anymore. So this is where, if you're not going to fix up the back line, at least get a good pacey defensive midfielder who can cover for them just in case. And he's not just a hard man in the middle of the park. So he can actually receive the ball. He is good with his feet. He can turn very well, and he can also take the ball and drive. So those are very good positives to have. He's also of a good age profile, 22 years, because United have a 31-year-old, I think he's 31-year-old Bruno Fernandes, and then 29-year-old, what's his name, Tielemans. And so what they wanted to do this off-season, at least Ineos wanted to do, was get players of like in the early 20s profile, because if you get another aging player like Sander Berge, who's good and he would do a great job, but in 2-3 years time you'll have 3 30-year-old plus midfielders and you would have to replace them all. So I'm glad that they went for this profile. He's good. He is a little clumsy sometimes with possession, where he can be easily dispossessed, but he shows the effort to go back and get the ball back, and he's also able to control the ball to a certain extent. I think he does a great job. I still believe that Santos will start the season at that position, but at least there is options, because if Santos goes down, it's going to be crazy. And the best part of having these players, Santos and Baleba, is that they can sit in the back and they can help the back line, but it can help like technical players like Kobe, Tielemans, and even Bruno to push up forward and help in attack. And that's where they are most useful, because you don't want Tielemans and Bruno and Kobe hanging around in the back line trying to prevent any attacks, because they don't have the pace and their usefulness is much better up forward than back in the line. So that way he's good. Now the concerns about Baleba is that when at least last summer when the news came out that Manchester United was going for him, I think it got into his head, and I don't know if he thought he was going to go to United, and that's why he stopped working, and so as a result he got dropped from the squad, and at least from the starting lineup. And that's a bit of a worry, because if you know Manchester United, they have its share of players who are not professional. I mean, if you heard the latest Wayne Rooney interview where he talks about how he wants some players to show the professionalism that is required to just help the team. But I don't think that will be a problem. I think he was just young. I think he'll be guided by all the senior players, especially like how like the back line, especially Harry Maguire, Luke Shaw, are like guiding, who's that, Aiden Heaven and Lenny Yoro. I think the same thing Bruno will do with Carlos Baleba. So I'm not too worried about that. I'm just glad that they got him at a decent fee, because this 60, I think he'll end up going at 65 million pounds, about the same amount that you spent on Mason Mount. Obviously, you don't want him to have the same set of injuries that Mason Mount has, because right now he's unavailable. He's not going to play for any team until the end of September. So Man United have to do a decent medical examination of him, because we always seem to get lumped with all the injury prone players. So just make sure that that's the reason why Brighton is keen on selling him, that maybe he is injury prone and that's why they have lessened their transfer fee. So you want to make sure that that's not the case. But overall, I'm excited. He was the best option available. I mean, there was Manu Kone, there was Sander Berg, and who else? There was some other meaty players that were being linked to Manchester United. I think this is a good one. I think United have been tracking him for a long time, so it's good that they've finally gotten who they have been trying to get for a long time. I think overall he's a good signing. I think he could possibly play as a left back cover in case Luke Shaw goes down. Who knows? But right now, I think this is perfect. You got a good technical player in Tielemans. You got a young future Brazilian midfielder in Andres Santos, same age, and who's got a level head. And then you have got Carlos Baleba, an athletic freak I think he can play 6, but he can also play an 8 where he can drive with the ball. At least you need these younger legs on your team as well with the older folks, because 4 competitions, you're playing at least 8 more games. Last season you played 40 games. This season you are playing at least 48 games, possibly as high as 55 to 60 games. So a lot of players are going to go down. I mean, if you remember last year, we didn't have a back line where I think it was against Chelsea where Aiden Heaven and Lenny Yoro and everybody had to come in and play. So, and that was with 40 games. So just imagine this season. So I'm just glad we got these type of players who are able to provide cover. Overall, it's a good signing. Is this enough? No. We need a left back. We absolutely need a left back. So I hope United is still working on that. But this is good. Take your time. I don't care whether you get another player in the next week or so. But as long as you get it before the end of the window, because I know Luke Shaw is not going to last long. So just finish up that part of the business, and I think we can compete. And that's all I'm asking for from United. I'm not asking anything audacious like go for the title or anything. Just try to get into the top 4 again. And because we haven't been able to do that for quite some time. So just try to get into the top 4 and then we'll take it from there.